As an attorney, does Mauritius have the equivalent of the Freedom of Information Act? Can you petition your government, hey, let me see what records you have?
As far as I'm aware, that kind of legislation doesn't exist in Mauritius. The legal system is still based on pre-1969 English legal procedure, whereas the modern world has kind of continued. The Mauritian legal system is based on both English and French law, but it's not updated regularly. It's a small group of practitioners and a judiciary that work within the framework that they have. There are consultations that are ongoing with renowned English judges and advisors, but nothing has happened yet to really advance the law. I mean, in the state of Nevada, it's legal to consume cannabis. In Mauritius, it's a criminal offense. So you get the idea as to where we're at.
Share with me a general statement about the level of interest in the subject matter among the people that live there. Are they following it? Do they pay attention to it?
I think that they are, but people are still very much concerned about perception and reputation on a tiny small island of 1.3 million. I've had witnesses approach me and I've investigated their cases, and they are credible witnesses with amazing stories and equally supporting evidence, which is mind-blowing. But they are averse to ridicule, like most people. But it's only by people such as yourself and myself and others, by actually taking the risk and confidently coming forward to speak the truth, that it gives permission to others to open up.
The incident that you talked about, where there were so many people on the radio talking about it, they had seen it. Was it covered by media?
No, other than to dismiss it as perhaps a SpaceX rocket that was re-entering Earth's atmosphere. But it was ridiculous. It was a one-liner. There's been other examples of, I'll give you another example. I was stood in my garden in October of 2018, and what appeared to be a meteorite-type object, it just manifested in front of me, several hundred, I would say, meters in the sky. It was traveling on a perfect horizontal at a slow and a steady speed, which meteorites don't do. But if I was I can't speak. If I was in any doubt whatsoever, that was allayed when the object took a 90-degree turn and then took a course behind my house and over the mountains. And what was strange was that the same phenomena was picked up simultaneously across Reunion Island of France and Rodrigue Island, the sister island of Mauritius, all within a 20-minute window, which was reported by two national papers. So we know it happened, but how did it manifest at the same time in two different or three different locations?
That's a heck of a meteorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said those are two experiences. Are there more that you've had?
There are more. I mean, I've had many personal experiences, but I like to focus on the research in order to gain credence in the subject. I'll give you another example. There were a group of friends who were sky watching on a mountain on the west coast called Tamarin Mountain, and that was in August of 2010. During the early hours of that morning, between I think around 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., what appeared to be an enormous delta-shaped, or I want to say curved-shaped craft, like a boomerang, appeared in the sky, and this thing was more than 2 football fields in length, and I have the footage of this. It's very reminiscent of the Phoenix lights, but perhaps more aesthetic because there are many more smaller, colorful lights that are flashing, and they seem to move around and morph before taking the shape of the curve or the boomerang. So it's incredible. This footage lasted for something like 10 minutes. You can hear the wind, you can hear phone calls being made with friends and relatives because the witnesses couldn't believe what they'd seen. And the witnesses also reported that during that evening, after the craft had masked itself, they were relaxing in their car and they could see what appeared to me a being that was the equivalent size of a child, parting the sugarcane behind their car in the wing mirror, crossing the road and just disappearing into the thin blue yonder beyond.
Is your interest well enough known in Mauritius that when something like that happens, hey, let's send the video to you, or people reach out to you and share information?
I would hope that I've made a good start, but there's always more work to be done. I have, after the meteorite incident, I set up ufology Mauritius and Indian Ocean, and we have about 6,000 members at the moment. But there's more to be done. I've also become the national director of MUFON, for Mauritius, so people do have a contact point. But at the moment, because of this stigma and concern for perception that exists in the island, I tend to more proactively find out and keep my ear close to the ground as to who's having experiences and try and contact them. Usually they respond favorably. Mainly they prefer to remain anonymous, but that's okay. The main thing is to bring the information forward.